Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Candid Conversations about Network Marketing with me, BK, and as usual, Dr. Wayne on the other side. Morning, Dr. Wayne.
Good morning, BK. Morning, everyone. Looking forward to today, tonight, wherever one may be, to episode number 13. We're doing it on a Friday, so it's going to be an exceptional one today.
Yeah, so we just wanted to let everyone know that we are in unprecedented times, and I think the whole world is on Zoom now. So we are recording via Zoom as of now. And if you do experience some lagginess or you kind of find that we are not as responsive to each other, we kind of figured out just now that there's like a 2 second lag between when I end my sentence and before Dr. Wayne receives the other sentence on the other side.
Yes, interesting times, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, Doc, what are we going to talk about today?
I think that because of the interesting times, and I know we've touched on it before, but I think it might be important to go deeper in terms of why network marketing. Why is it now a good time to move into network marketing? What do you think, BK? What are your thoughts? Have you been receiving some interesting conversations around that topic at this particular time? Because I know I am, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think everyone is like yesterday, somebody was telling me that the search terms for work from home, or something related to that, right, is jumped like 20 to 30% over the past couple of days, which is expected. Everyone is trying to find a way to
Yeah.
work from home. And I think there's also a surge in interest for work from home opportunities because everyone is stuck at home. So yeah, let's dive in a little bit into this for sure.
So let's just go back. I suppose the one that I love looking at all the time when I'm looking at businesses is the cash flow quadrant from Robert Kiyosaki, looking at the different levels of businesses. And I'm not going to use the exact framework he uses, but in terms of the same theory. So first, we basically have job. So we have JOB, and we know, a lot of us know that that's an acronym for just over broke, and we mean that nicely. The reason that has been coined like that is typically it takes a lot of effort for you to grow your income from A to Z, meaning you are being paid an exceptional amount. So to go from there to there usually means you have to wait until someone unfortunately moves on in the business, someone retires or something like that, or you've done another degree or you've upgraded your skills. And even by doing that, sometimes you're not rewarded for that because the company isn't in that growth phase, depending upon the size of the company. So when we say just over broke, we don't mean that negatively. It's just that that's typically the statistics of moving forward. It's a lot tougher when you're in a job. And especially when you're in a job of, say, 10 employees or something like that, and that's where most small businesses lie today. Basically, you come in at a wage level and that's it, and that wage level is typically set by the government, etc. as well. And of course, the bosses can actually pay you more, but it's still very much set. So then we have the next level, then of course we have then self-employed. Now, self-employed just now means we've got a job, but now we can't sack the boss because we are the boss. And when we're self-employed, what typically now happens is when you look at a lot of small businesses, when they get through their first 2 to 5 years, meaning that they're actually statistics of most businesses, small businesses fail in the first 2 to 5 years. Once they get over that, what then typically happens is lifestyle. They have a brilliant lifestyle because their income and their profits are usually quite good. Now what happens though, unfortunately, is now the mortgage and the new car and the private schools and all the other things now actually are offset, meaning that their budget can't keep up sometimes with what they're now earning. So basically, just over broke, but now we live a better lifestyle, but now we can't sack the boss. And so the next level then, I'm going to skip one level, but the next level then is now looking at investing in terms of shares and trading, maybe looking at gold, buying silver, looking at all the investment strategies in terms of the buy long, buy and hold, or if you want to be a trader, you do it shorter. But all the problem with a lot of that is the mentality of people, and they'll go into it and they don't know anything. They have this nest egg, or they have this amount of money typically, and then they'll basically go into it with really no understanding of that market that they've gone into. So typically, if you want to become an accountant, or you want to become, I'm just looking at different job, school teachers, whatever you want to become, it's typically 4 years. If you want to become a doctor, it's 6 years plus. If you want to become a naturopath or traditional Chinese medicine, it's 4 years plus. So think of this as a time where we're learning our trade. Whereas a lot of investors will go straight into it, and then unfortunately they find that they've bad timing, they've lost their money, they don't understand the markets, they haven't been in it long enough, and their investment nest egg then just dissipates, or they've unfortunately gone into it and overcommitted, and now they actually get the bank calling on their whatever the strategy may be. So not saying that any one of those three is good, bad, or indifferent, but just understanding them, I think, is really, really important. And I've done all three. I've been a person who's had a job, and I had a job in the private industry. I had a job in the public service. I was in the public service for 6 years. I basically learned how not to work. And that's what literally drove me out of the public service, because it was just so frustrating because of everyone in the public service typically, and they will deny this tenfold. But all they're doing is basically protecting their job. They're protecting where they are, left, right, and centre. And they will do it at a level that you've never seen it before. It's incredibly negative. And of course, there's some great people in there that really do want to do well, but the overall consensus is not that good, unfortunately. And then from there, you can then I moved into being self-employed, and I've been self-employed now for over 30 years and done exceptionally well. Luckily, I've been able to build up one of the best naturopathic clinics in Australia at one particular time. Now we're semi-retired. Of course, we're not doing that now. And I've also looked at investing and looked at houses and looked at all that type of stuff and made the mistakes that most people did. And because of years, I can understand those mistakes. But I think if we look at the quadrant we haven't talked about, and that's the quadrant of home-based businesses, but is specifically the quadrant of network marketing. And for me, when I first got into network marketing, it was not something that I totally understood. So therefore, I had my own biases and own skepticism towards it. The words in my head were pyramid schemes. The words in my head were you've got to talk to your friends and family, and you end up with bad name, and all these negative things. Unfortunately, is what we are swamped with when we first come into negative marketing. So what's your feedback so far, BK, on what we've gone through so far?
Yeah, so some of the books that we have been referencing, like this one is about the cash flow quadrant. So what is interesting is that like Dr. Wayne, I've also kind of done most of the other quadrants as well. And maybe just put this in perspective, like some of them may not know about my background. And what happened was just prior to doing this in network marketing, I was actually building my own e-commerce business in China. And while building that business, it picked up pretty fast, because at that time when we entered the market, it was something that was not very in the know by most of the Chinese merchants. But very quickly, I discovered that um, even in that quadrant, even in the business sector, competition was fast and furious. They came really fast and furious, and that wiped us out quite quickly. And when I was looking for something to do, which is perhaps some of the things that some of you on the show are thinking about now, like what can I do now with the current climate and everything. So when I was in the same position a couple of years back, I had a certain number of things that was like checklists, things that I wanted to make sure I could check off.
Yeah.
And having had some experience in both working for the government and also working for myself and working for a private firm and then building up a business, we kind of develop a few things that we know that we want to check, right? And interestingly, one of the things that was a priority for me was that I wanted to make sure that my income source was no longer solely dependent on just myself. Because while you run a business, it could be a very successful business. Do note that, like what Dr. Wayne was saying just now, you are basically the boss and you are basically also the employee. You hire yourself back in the business. You could also hire a lot more people, but the employees you hire may not have the same kind of vested interest in keeping you or keeping the business running the way you want it to run. They might have other agendas or issues or considerations that you do not know about. So essentially, when you run a business, most of the time you are kind of dependent on perhaps yourself in that way. So which was what I found. And when I came across network marketing, I knew that it ticked a lot of the boxes. And one of the main box for me then was that I wanted not to be held ransom to a single person, namely myself. So in this current day and in this current climate, I think some of us might be feeling that way, that we are held ransom by the fact that we do not know what our companies or our whatever positions you're holding now, there's a lot of countries that are going through something called a lockdown right now. When you go back to the work, your job after this, it may not be the same anymore. And so that's what I've been feeling so far, right? And I'm thankful that network marketing has provided that avenue where I'm not dependent on just myself. We build a team, right? That's how I feel, Doc.
Yeah, yeah. And just going even one step deeper, say we are in a small business, for example, and as you mentioned, and as we both kind of mentioned, the challenge now is we've got to get stock. We've got to always look for stock that is the best. We've got to then carry the stock. We've got to then ship the stock. We've got to then get someone to look after the stock. We've got to then get our web page is always updated. We've got to get an accountant involved or a bookkeeper involved. And the list just goes on and on, how many people you have to employ just to be able to stay afloat. Or you do it all yourself, which basically now takes your main focus away from what you do, and that is what you do exceptionally well. And that's where I love the network marketing industry. All we've got to do is basically go out there and allow you to talk to people about your product or your service. You don't have to worry about anything else. The product is being shipped. You don't have to worry about your back end. All that's being done, accountability. You just have to draw things, of course, figures out for your accountant, but that's easy. It's already done for you. And when you move into a network marketing company, I think we've spoken about this, I think personally, BK, but some of the most important things you want to make sure is it's not a startup company. So really important to make sure your business the network marketing company you go into is is a company that's basically strong, has adequate cash flows, they're able to move forward. They've got a plan that's already there. It's something that's so important when you initially move into a network marketing company, because there's nothing worse than then finding they're going to change the comp plan. They haven't got a good ethos. And initially, it all starts off very good, but it can actually be, unfortunately, moved downward with time, unfortunately, due to the ethos of the company managers and that type of stuff as well. So really important to make sure that you've got a sound product that can stand the test of time. You've also got a company that's been in business for a minimum of 5 years. Startups, if you get on one and they do well, well done, but it's hard picking them. Three, you've got to make sure the ethos is sound and you've basically got them people on board and CEOs and founders, etc., that are doing an exceptional job in keeping the ship uh, steady and the ethos of the company driving the actual company as well. And then from there, then that floats down. And as we've said before in other episodes, what I love about network marketing, beyond anything else, it basically is a way to find out about your own challenges, because you then actually find very quickly where your weaknesses are, and therefore self-development is a big part of it. When you're in business, it's really hard to see that because you're putting out your own fires all the time. Whereas in network marketing, all the fires are kind of taken care of in terms of it's yourself that gets in the road, because the fires are taken care of. You haven't got staff, you haven't got bookkeepers, you haven't got all these other people that you're managing all the time. All you've got to do is just go out there and be who you are and talk to people. Whether that be on the social, like through Facebook or Messenger or LinkedIn or person to person or webinars or Zoom, whatever it is, we need then to be able to evolve into those things that we don't understand. But when we're in business, really hard to see that, really difficult to see that, because we're putting out fires all the time.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. So the other thing is that, of course, uh, if you are already involved in network marketing now, we are all involved in the industry. Just know that some people are asking questions like, am I taking advantage of friends if I start sharing with them during this particular climate? People might feel that you're trying to, take advantage of them because in this kind of scenario. Interestingly, this is a very common question that we want to talk about as well, because what is interesting is that there are people out there that are literally looking for a lifeline, and you have the opportunity to provide them with a lifeline, and you should just offer it. Now, of course, don't be smart about it. Don't have to say that I told you so. You should have come in like when I told you to do. No, we're not going to do it. We're not going to go there at all. In fact, in this current climate, if you are doing well in your network marketing company, or if you are starting out and you're seeing some results, this is no better time, because everyone is working from home, and we have the ability to, we're kind of like in the most enviable business right now, right? We are in the most enviable business right now.
Yeah.
So just be very kind and be very patient with people, offer them that opportunity, and talk to them and say, hey, would you want to find out more about what we are doing? I'm being productive even in this particular time. And if you are open to taking a look, I would like to share it with you, so something along those lines. And people can then, there are a lot of people who are looking for opportunities. So don't feel that you are taking advantage of them. There are literally people who may want to just find an extra $100 to $200 a week just to be able to put food on the table. Sometimes you never know. And I think that's a very important thing that we can do now. So don't be ashamed of what we do, but rather be kind and gentle and be considerate and ask people whether they're open to taking a look. I think that would be something we can do at this point in time.
Yeah, and I love the way you put it there, BK. It's sort of delivering a heartfelt message rather than something that comes from fear. And when it comes from a heartfelt message, the person you're talking to, they'll be able to share that and accept that so much easier as well. And if what we're really talking about is, for those people who are, there's there's a number of people we'll be talking to or listening to this. So one will be the person who's not in a network marketing company, wondering what they're going to do, if this is something that we should be looking at or they should be looking at. Then, of course, we'll have the other people who are just sort of in there, and they've been there for a while, but they're not really doing well with their network marketing company, so to speak. And then, of course, we'll have the people who are doing exceptionally well. So they're kind of like the people who'll be listening to our to the YouTube and podcasts or what's going out there. And typically the biggest fear that we have as humans is basically change. So think of the first person who hasn't got a job, who's now looking for something online or at home. Does that change to becoming a network marketer? That's a big ask. The fear that comes into there, no matter what it be, whatever you want to change to, is something that you may not have done in the past. So it's a new way of thinking. Now you have the person who is stuck in their network marketing company and doesn't seem to be able to get over their own self-limiting beliefs because they're not moving forward. And I don't mean that wrongly. Hopefully you know what I mean by what I just said. It's not that that's right or wrong. It's just that that's what happens because we're fear of change, of changing our subconscious beliefs to move forward. And then, of course, we've got the who is doing exceptionally well, but now wants to go to another level of leadership. And you know, the three things that when you want to change something that I think is really important that I made a note of the other day is basically around we want clarity of what we're moving. So we want to know what do I have to do? And that's the great thing about a network marketing company when it's been there for a number of years. You'll have step-by-step basically on what to do. That's easy in terms of network marketing company. Then from there, can I do it? And that's the bit about the change in terms of subconscious beliefs. And there are, when you're dealing with really good network marketing companies, they've got unbelievable mindset and the ability to help you through that. Great leadership in that as well. And then the last one is worth it. Is it worth me spending my time in doing it? And when you look at any one of those other areas we looked at before, a job, you basically now have to have some sort of degree to get a job, or if you don't, you're in the service industry, which is great if that's what you want to be. So you have to put a lot of effort into that, okay? Two is now you're self-employed, now you have to put a lot of cash up front, you have to put a lot of, imagine the energy that has to go into creating that, getting the leads, doing this, doing all the different things. There's a lot of cash injection, a lot of change to allow that to occur. And then you've got the third one that we talked about, which is you need a lot of cash flow to buy houses and shares and stocks and all these things as well. Network marketing, a lot of the times you only need $60 to $100 to get into the company and they do everything else for you. All you've got to do is go out there and basically share it. You know, that's unbelievable. So those three, I believe I'll just go through them again in terms of, you know, I think those three are easily a big tick in terms of do we have the tools? Number one, is there a process of clarity moving forward? Within network marketing companies, those ones have been around for quite some time. Yes. Can I do it? Yes, you can. You just got to accept that you can actually change your subconscious beliefs. And I'll go into this a little bit shortly. And is it worth it? My word, it's worth it. Once you understand the clarity that network marketing gives you and the ease of moving forward and how to do it, it certainly allows your dollars and cents. And the big thing for me, and I'm sure yourself, BK, and the leaders and the people who we're helping, is that it helps with dollars and cents, yeah, but also for us to move forward in terms of breaking our own subconscious barriers and that as well. And if you look at, you know, some of the greats in our past, for example, Albert Einstein, teachers actually labeled him mentally handicapped. Imagine that. Imagine a teacher saying to Albert Einstein, you're mentally handicapped, and yet he won Nobel Prizes in physics. And he was just once upon a time a common man. Mahatma Gandhi became the father of a nation, but failed in every office role prior to that. Winston Churchill became the Prime Minister of Australia, yet he was defeated 8 times in elections prior. Abraham Lincoln became the president. And yet, when you look at his background, it's interesting as well that it wasn't anything about greatness. Walt Disney fired from his first job because he lacked imagination. And then he created Mickey Mouse, and then, of course, Walt Disney itself. Thomas Edison, teachers told him that he was too stupid to learn anything. Thomas Edison, too stupid to learn anything. Now, the reason I'm going through this is because just to get it from an understanding, no matter where you are, and no matter what you may think subconsciously of your own limiting beliefs, you can do this. You can move forward. Look what these examples I'm just going through here hopefully will give you the impetus, the ability to change. And even Bill Hewitt and David Packard turned nothing. They literally turned nothing into a total empire. Steven Spielberg, rejected from film school. Now look where he is. Now just about network marketing. These are just some of the comments made by some of the greats. Now, I believe, I remember reading a book back in, I think it was the early 90s, and the heading was The Next $1 Trillion Industry, and that is the wellness industry. And I followed the principles of that book, and that's when luckily I slowly became one of the largest naturopathic clinics in Australia. I believe today that in the future, network marketing will be the next $1 trillion industry. Richard Branson, basically this is what he says: I'm a tremendous believer in network marketing. I'm a great believer in entrepreneurs. I think all the future jobs in the next 20 or 30 years will be created by network marketing companies, entrepreneurs. Incredible. I'm a great believer in entrepreneurs. I think all the future jobs in the next 20 to 30 years, imagine where we're sitting now. Now, remembering this was actually said, I don't know how long ago, but it was said a long time ago, meaning a few years ago. And he said back then that all the future jobs in the next 20 to 30 years will be created by network marketing entrepreneurs. And we all know now that this is even more will be turned out to be true. Robert Kiyosaki, network marketing gives people the opportunity with very low risk, which we've discussed and talked about, and very low financial commitment, we've said that as well, to build their own income generating assets and acquiring great wealth from network marketing. Jim Rohn, network marketing is really the greatest source of grassroots capitalism because it teaches people how to make a small bit of capital that is your time and build the dream of your life. And just Brian Tracy, the future of network marketing is unlimited. There's no end in sight. It will continue to grow because better people are getting into it. We will be one of the respected business methods in the world. And that's, the network marketing companies that will be leading the world will have the ethos, exactly what Brian Tracy just said there. In terms of, yes, it might not be that respected industry just now, but in another 10 years or so, the companies who have this ethos now will be the leaders, and they're the companies that you want to get into. So this is what some of the leaders in our field are now saying, and this is why I believe that the next $1 trillion industry will be network marketing, and it's a great time for any of you listening, whether you be the one that hasn't made that decision just now, and you want to look for a company, or two, you're just not sure of how you're in a network marketing company, but you don't know how to make that explode. Go back to your leaders, go back and talk to them and put a plan together. And, in future episodes, we'll go through this as well. I think it's just an unbelievable time that we have now to take, I think of it like the phoenix rising. We're all, if we can think of it like globally, this thing is sort of very depressing and very taking the wind out of all of us. And yet, if we can allow us to look at it from a different perspective, use a different vehicle, we will rise like the phoenix, and network marketing, I believe, will be one of those industries that will take it to another level.
Wow, wow. Dr. Wayne, you were on fire today. Yeah, we are definitely living in
It's the Phoenix.
we are definitely living on in unprecedented times, and it's really requires us to embrace the fact that we may really need to make a change for those of us who haven't done it. Yeah. So with that, I think we end another episode of Candid Conversations about network marketing. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, stay well. We hope to see you again next week. Thanks, Dr. Wayne.
Thanks, BK. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.